Hello there, and welcome to episode 14 of Colonization Project. Right now, we start this episode off by launching a new launch vehicle. This is our largest launch vehicle, not counting the Starship to date, and it is called, I'm not sure if I just mentioned this, it is called the Leviathan, and it's capable of carrying around like 30 or so tons to orbit. So it's a pretty large launch vehicle. It uses, I believe, 7 of the vector engines on the first stage. And then the second stage uses 5 skipper engines. And then the third stage uses one of those RL-10 engine clusters. I'm not sure what that is. But this mission didn't really go to plan. I forgot to check my staging. The payload accidentally deployed before when the second stage fired. And it also doesn't have a probe core. So we have a couple things to fix later on in this episode. But as you can see, we were on a suborbital trajectory and everything just completely doesn't blow up, but everything ends up crashing into the ocean. So it's not the best thing, but we can still try and recover the first and second stages, which are fully recoverable. The third stage is not because it's heading all the way out to Minmus. But the first stage is recoverable because we want to recover those vector engines, and the second stage is recoverable because I don't know why I guess it's just kind of cool to recover the second stage. But you can see we are trying to land the first stage now. And I am doing this with no quick save reverts now because seeing everything go to plan doesn't really make for the best of content, I would say, because everything goes to plan. You don't see any of the failures. You don't see any explosions. But we do land the first stage with a bit of a bounce. And the second stage, I overestimated the amount of fuel we had. And I decided, hey, let's go for a drone ship landing because the drone ship was there. It's also not... We still need to recover this harness booster on it. So, yeah, we still have something to recover. There's still already something on it. But we don't have enough fuel to actually perform a landing. So you can see the fuel just ends up running out. I try to avoid the booster that's already on it, but we do eventually just litho brake. We didn't crash. We definitely didn't crash. We just litho braked on the drone ship. The drone ship's fine. The booster's fine, but the second stage is not fine. You just saw it crash into the ocean there. But our next order of business is doing this. We are moving the orbital tug. I should probably call it the nuclear tug because we already have an orbital tug on Space Lab. But we are moving the nuclear tug to a new docking port. I just did this so it looked a bit better, and also because I wanted to transmit the science back. And, you know, we might as well show you the transmission of the science back because that's entertaining, good content right there. I'm waiting for the antenna to upload it all. But you can see we have done all that. We can now do something else. I'm not sure what we are doing next. Oh, we are unlocking field science, I believe. And that gives us a bunch of new rover parts so we can create rovers. And we're also unlocking logistics. Logistics gives us like a bunch of containers that we can use to contain things like material kits, specialized parts, food, water, all that. But now we are launching the same vehicle again, but obviously upgraded and with check staging this time. Upgraded, I mean we added a probe core to the top. And I didn't actually tell you what this mission is supposed to be doing. We are going to the Minmus Orbital Outpost, and we are sending a new lander up there because the current lander, it's kind of boring. it's really just a command capsule with a bunch of science and fuel on it. This one can carry 7 crew members, I believe. The hitchhiker can store 4. And the command capsule can store 3. I'm bad at mental math, especially when I'm recording a video. Like, I can't do simple addition when I'm recording a video. But it can carry a significant amount of crew, and it can also carry cargo down to the surface of Minmus. The old lander could do this because I wanted it to carry cargo too, but this one has more fuel to do it. You can see we are trying to recover the booster again, but I started the hover slam a bit too late, and we ended up blowing the landing legs off as well as the engine plate. Thankfully, all the engines survived, so that's a good thing, I guess. So that will be the end of the first booster we built. Then we can move on to the second stage now. I'm not sure what just randomly paused there. Okay. This one, I did not try to do a boost back burn to the drone ship because I learned from last time, and I instead do a small boost back burn so we actually land on the little peninsula right there. So we actually land on land and not in the water. You can see we are coming down on a bit of a slope, but thankfully we do land if on our side and without an extra landing leg. But thankfully we do land. The booster didn't end up being recovered because when I was recovering it, I accidentally sent it splashing into the water. So we didn't end up recovering any of those boosters, which isn't the best thing to happen, but oh well. Now our main goal is getting out to Minmus and testing out the new lander. The lander design is actually based off of an old lander that I built. Before I started this series, I had a playthrough. I didn't record, but I did have a playthrough of sort of like a pre-test of Kolonization project. It was in a 2.5 scaled up system, and I had like Blue Dog Design Bureau and Tantaris, but I thought about it, and I thought about Tylo. If you don't know, Tylo has the same gravity as Kerbal, but it doesn't have an atmosphere. I thought about it in a 3.2 sorry. I thought about it in a 2.5 scaled system, and I was like, that's going to be really painful to design a lander for. So I downgraded it to normal scaled system, removed a couple mods, and after another restart of the series, here we are. But that doesn't bring us to where I got the lander design from. Before I had that, before I had the scaled up system, I had a Beyond Home sort of save. And in that save, I tried to colonize Armstrong, which is sort of like Minmus, but it's not exactly Minmus. It's sort of gray and it's a bit, it's not minty like Minmus. It's sort of a dark gray. I guess it's made of chocolate ice cream. But it's very similar to it, and I tried to colonize it. Right here you can see we're just decreasing the science down to 60% because we're getting way too much science from those labs, and I want to actually go interplanetary before we unlock fusion engines. So I just lessened the amount of science that we would get from doing science. But I had a lander that was supposed to colonize. That was the lander for Armstrong, and that and the lander looked very similar, actually very identical to the one that we currently have on the station, or the one that we just launched. So that's where I got the lander design from. I might put a picture of it on the screen, maybe, if I remember to do that. I might not. You might not see it, but you might also see it. I'm not sure yet, because I haven't really edited it, because I haven't edited it. Oh my goodness. I haven't edited the video to do that, because I just thought of it. But that's sort of the story behind this lander design, which I can talk about right now. It has a hitchhiker storage container, so it can carry more crew. It has two sort of like external fuel tanks. They cannot be detached because this lander is reusable. And on top of it, you have a couple of service bays full of scientific equipment. Then you have 2 Terrier engines and a bunch of fuel, and the lander design sort of speaks for itself. I'm not sure why I did that. But I guess I did it to pass the time, so I could talk about this. What we're doing here is we are rescuing a Kerbal from the surface of Minmus. And that's about it. I'm not sure how long he's been up here for, but he probably wants to go home now. His name is, I believe it is, Hanser Kerman, and he will be a new member of our space program once he returns home on like a space shuttle, or yeah, I think he returns home on a space shuttle. He does happen to go a bit fast and accidentally slams into the storage container. That's probably not the best thing to happen to a very delicate spacesuit, but I don't know, he looks fine to me. But now we can get our Kerbal out to plant a flag. Apparently the surface is made out of snow, like a very deep layer of snow that doesn't really put up any resistance to outside force. It's not mint ice cream. That's probably obvious, because all of our Kerbals are sinking in it. Thankfully, Quicksaver solves this, but you know, Minmus isn't supposed to be made out of snow. It's supposed to be made out of ice cream, mint ice cream, actually, because I guess the Kerbals like mint ice cream. And, you know, it gives our Kerbal some extra food for the long journey out there. So it's pretty nice having an entire planet made out of ice cream. But now we are placing down a bunch of scientific equipment, which sort of shows that the lander is capable of carrying scientific equipment and cargo down to the surface. This is sort of like a test demonstration of this lander, because we prove that we can carry cargo. We prove that we can carry crew. We prove that we can carry more than 3 crew members. We can prove that it can land, actually. So yeah, this is sort of just like a technologies demonstration mission. But I mean, what else would we do with this? I mean, I guess it could be like a crew ferry once we start constructing our Minmus base, which will be, I don't know when that will be, but it will be sooner or later, because probably it's more towards the later side, because we currently don't have any we don't have the technology to colonize yet. And I want the first base on Minmus to be sort of able to be expanded upon and not... Yeah, I want the base to be able to be expanded upon with when we get colonization technology. So we could do it now. We could also do it later. But I'm not sure yet. That will be in future episodes. But right now we are making sure all the science equipment is working before heading back up to the surface. Right here I was just time warping to see if the science equipment was working, but I mean, I don't know if it's working or not. It might be. But now the Kerbal's primary mission is done. They can get back into the lander. Hopefully Jorford Kerman didn't accidentally break his legs there. I don't think he did. He can still walk. But I was trying to get the EVA pack, and he had to jump to do that. And jumping into low gravity, probably... yeah, you jump really high into low gravity, so... Hopefully he was okay. But, I mean, we're going to the Minmus Orbital Outpost, which should have, like, some medical facilities or something to help him out, even if he didn't break his legs. Hopefully he didn't. That would be kind of bad. But I also forgot to talk about what we did with the previous lander. To save on frame rate, I undocked the previous lander and just moved it into a higher orbit, because that lander might be useful later on, but right now it's not serving much of a purpose because we have this new lander. But it could be useful later on, so we just moved it up into a higher orbit in order to save on frame rate. But now we have gotten back into orbit and can redock with the space station. Not much to talk about here because we have done this multiple times. Once before in this episode and many times before with different space shuttles and cargo supply missions. I wonder how many times I've actually rendezvoused in this series with another spacecraft. That would be interesting to know, like a Kerbal statistics screen. Like in Minecraft Java Edition, you have this like little statistics. I can't speak today. Statistics screen if you press escape. That would be kind of a cool thing to have in Kerbal Space Program, but I'm not sure how it would keep track of that, because yeah, might work, or although maybe like some technical limitations with Kerbal Space Program itself, but that would be interesting just to see how many times you've done a certain thing in Kerbal Space Program. Although I'm sure you can count because I've recorded all of this, but I don't know. But we have redocked to the space station. We can try and process a bunch of data that we got in the labs, and we can move on to... Oh yes, the Olympus Duna lander has in fact arrived. It's only taken a single episode for it to arrive, but it has arrived at Duna, and we are now just collecting a bunch of science from Duna so we can do more things. You can see we do get an encounter with Ike for a second there. It wasn't intended, but I'm pretty sure it ends up fleeing us even faster towards the atmosphere. So that heat shield is definitely necessary for aerial capture. But we will try and capture ourselves into a nice circular orbit. Actually, it won't be very circular. It'll be elliptical, because part of it's going to touch the atmosphere, the other part's not. That's what an orbit is. Actually, no, it's not. It's a suborbital trajectory, but with orbital energy. But you can see we are starting to re-enter the atmosphere. We witness our first blue sunset, because if you don't know, any planet with a predominantly carbon dioxide atmosphere, which means the atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, The skies are red, like how we have sunsets on Earth. But wait a minute. The skies normally are red, like sunsets on Earth. But the sunsets are blue because of like weird interactions with the atmosphere and sunlight. So yeah, sunsets on Mars are actually blue. They're not red. And skies on Mars are red and not blue. Sort of like the opposite of Earth. But we have entered the atmosphere and are now preparing to land. We detached the heat shield, we detached the parachutes, and we are now on engine power. We also just detached the grid fins there. And can now nicely and softly touch down on the surface for the first time in Kerbal history that we've reached Duna. But I did pack a bit of extra fuel into it. But you know, it's better to have more than enough fuel than not enough. But you can see we are about to land and touchdown. We have successfully landed on the red planet. But now it's all about collecting science from Duna, and that's about all the rest of the episode is. There's actually only, I believe, about 10 seconds left in this episode, actually. So that will be the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.